What is going on, guys? And well, we are back on the Crew 2 because there is another vehicle we must customize here. This is the Corvette C3. Now, I actually had to walk around this thing, honestly, at the HQ. I mean, this thing is just so nice. I mean, let's take a look at this Corvette right now. I mean, it's just beautiful. I think they did a great job with the design of this one. So let's take a look at this right now. So you want to buy this car, it'll set you back $450,000 there. There's another version of this car, obviously, as well, that you have to unlock from actually buying the motor pass there. But let's buy this right now and go check this thing out, see if we can customize it, and then let's race it. So now that we have the car here, guys, let's see if we can customize this thing a little bit now. And normally these cars don't actually have much customization to them, mainly because they are, you know, special vehicles and all that. So here's the color here. You can change the color there. You can go regular colors if you would like, but personally I'm going to leave this regular there because it looks freaking awesome. You also could change the livery if you would like, or you can actually get rid of the livery that's currently on the car, but personally I think it looks pretty good on there. You can also add some liveries that people have made there, which people do such a great job with these. But I'm going to leave mine regular just like that. And as you guys will see, there's no visual parts available for this vehicle. So you pretty much can't really do anything to it, even though it's probably kind of customized already, I guess, for the most part. And then looking at the vanity items right here, obviously this will be what you guys own. You can throw on there if you would like. All by choice there. Anyway, let's go test drive this thing, see what it can do for a top speed. And let's take it into a touring car race. Arriving outside with the new Corvette C3 here. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. This might be one of my favorite cars in this update so far. Just by the look of this car, it just looks so freaking awesome. Excuse the snow on my tires, by the way, because I was just driving in the snow for a second there. But this thing just looks so good. Let's listen to it. It would probably help if I was actually in neutral. That sounds so good. Let's take a look at the interior as well before we do a quick little top speed run with it on the road here. Interior looks freaking awesome. They did such a great job with this car. Alright, let's see. Oh, listen to that. So by the looks of it, this looks like it's going to be a 4-speed transmission. So this is one of the transmissions if I'm racing the car in a race. I normally run it in automatic just because sometimes racing it in a 4-speed could be kind of weird, mainly because you feel like you go out of your gears like too quick, and like you shift down, you lose all your speed, stuff like that. Might be a little bit easier to keep this thing in automatic there, but so I'm currently just cruising right now on the highway here in Miami, and I'm currently accelerating at 245 miles an hour. I have barely hit nitrous yet, so I'm sure it's not going to go much higher though. Let's do that. So 251, I hit 252 a second ago, so this car might be really, really good for racing. I actually can't wait to see how it does on a US Speed Tour. Here's what the interior looks like when racing it and going at 250 miles an hour. Stability on this car seems very, very nice as well. Oh wow, this thing is quick. I can't wait to see this thing it competes. This might be one of the new best touring cars. I might have to test this thing out a little bit versus the Renault. Wow, this thing is pretty amazing. Why don't we get taken into a race right now and see how it does versus turns and all that as well. So I figured I would actually jump into one of the speed tour races here right now because I noticed these races will be showing up a lot in Summit, so I figured this would be a good place to test this car out. Let's see how this thing actually does on these turns. So overall, right there, the first turn, this car has great brakes. I'm actually really liking this car. It might be one of my favorite vehicles in this update so far. Let's see how it does with speed now in a race. This thing's got some incredible speed to it here. I mean, it's actually very, very impressive. Overall, handling bumps pretty well. Sometimes the cars lose themselves. Turning seems great. I actually wasn't expecting the car to grip that well there. Also, running a 4-speed transmission in manual can be kind of wonky at times. I noticed like shifting down could be a very bad idea because you can lose way too much speed depending on where you're at in the RPMs there. I mean, trying to get a lot of speed out of turns and stuff like that, it could definitely screw you up pretty hard. So I've been trying to work on that a little bit. But I normally run automatic on some of the 4-speed transmissions that are kind of annoying to drive. But overall, this car's doing a great job right now on this. I like doing these races because I know these are the ones that will be in the Summits. I haven't really seen a touring car race that's not in one of these type of races in a while. So shifting down a good amount there helped a little bit. Brakes seem pretty dang good. Power on this car is very, very impressive. I'm looking forward to seeing this thing goes against the Renault. I'm gonna have to test them out a little bit and see how it does because this thing's actually very good. I would have to say right off the first bat, guys, the first minute and 20 seconds of me driving this car in this race, is it worth the 470? I'm gonna have to say yes, honestly, already. I mean, just the sound of it alone, handles great, the car looks fantastic. Handling these turns very well, unless you drive like me sometimes. This build seems pretty dang good on this car so far as well. I'll show that at the end of the video. So shifting down the second on a turn like that, you'll notice I did redline a little bit and I shift right back into third, coming out of the turn because I would have redlined anyway. So it kind of depends what gear you have to be in to get the most speed out of it. So when it's on automatic, you normally don't have to deal with too many things like that. It won't shift down in the wrong gear. Normally, because like when you try to shift down, you're like, oh, I gotta shift down. Like if you're driving a 6-speed manual car, you're gonna notice that you're gonna need to shift down to get more speed out of that turn because the power's in the higher RPMs there normally. And well, sometimes with these kind of vehicles, it doesn't really go like that, which is unfortunate. So overall, I have to say this thing is actually very fun to drive as well. I must, I'm actually very surprised right now. Brakes are great, turning is fantastic on it, speed is very, very good. I'm kind of expecting some of the newer touring cars to be kind of slower. The Renault kind of shocked me a little bit. But some of the other touring cars just struggle so hard in some areas, and it kind of bugs me a little bit when I drive them because I just feel like they're not that great in a lot of ways. I feel like they're lacking a little bit, and I was going way too fast around that corner. They're lacking a little bit, and they just don't seem like they're really up to par with some of the other ones, and I feel like when you buy some of those and you're like, oh man, let's get this thing going in some of these races, it's going to end very sadly. You're not going to be able to use the car in summits or anything like that because it just doesn't do a good job, and it's just unfortunate. But I don't think that's the case for this new C3 here. This car is definitely worth a look. The other version of the car is indeed in the motor pass there, which looks a lot different than this. That would be an interesting vehicle to drive. That's level 33, I believe, in the pass. So flying out of a turn there with nitrous. Nitro Chemist, I'm using Extra Pump and Pure right now, which is my favorite set to be running on these cars, and it is just doing so well, guys. My goodness. So I'm averaging 250 right now on this. This thing's very, very fun to drive. The handling is actually impressive on here. Wow. Nitrous keeps the power going like insanely well. Let's hit the brakes here and shift down a little bit. Flew right around that turn pretty nicely there. That's one thing I love about driving manual as well, because you can actually shift down on these kind of cars and get more speed coming out of the turns and all that, and be able to go into the turns easier than being an automatic. I have noticed that. Oh man, look at that. What a nice turn. Overall, guys, I gotta say, check out the new C3. This car is amazing. I'm very excited when I saw it. I just love that muscle sound. I love that V8 sound. I love how the car handles. This car is awesome. It's definitely worth the 470K. Check this thing out. I'll also be doing a video tomorrow on the Miata that's lifted as well. That's part of the motor pass. That car, I'm sure people are wondering how that thing's going to be. So 4 minutes, 17 seconds. Not too bad there on this race. Pretty decent. So if that was a summit race, probably get a pretty dang decent score in there. Definitely one of my favorite vehicles they've added in this update so far, guys. The Chevrolet Corvette C3 is not only really good looking, it's actually really good as well. So here are the settings I'm currently running on my vehicle. Now, one thing I wanted to point out was that race I was doing, my settings were a little different in that race. So I went out and tested them out a little bit more, and I changed my settings, and these are definitely much better for this car. So try this out right now, and let me know how you guys do with it. I feel like these settings are really good. This car handles great. It's just amazing, and definitely worth a look. Thank you all so much for watching.